Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Abood and the Hood, um, Abdullah and the Book. That's a new name that they just invented out of nowhere. Um, so the idea is that like I'm sometimes reading some parts of books and there are usually very interesting stories, and I usually end up forgetting those stories or forgetting those concepts. So I was like, if I could share them with my friends, and like everybody here is just like my friend basically, and if I could just share those ideas or share those stories with others, then I could store them and then come back to them every now and then. This way, like they are just don't go wasted completely. And today I have a book called Dopamine Nation by Lembke. And the book is really interesting. It's also interesting how I got this book. I was in a city in Germany called Bochum, and I was waiting for the train that takes me back to Berlin. So I had to wait for 2 3 hours, something like this. So I was kind of bored in the station. So there was a bookshop next to the station, and I decided to get in the bookshop, go to the nonfiction section, and just like look at the books in there. And then I saw two guys over there talking to each others, and one of them sounded really knowledgeable about like books and like, reading. He looked like a reader, a good reader, and he was convincing his friend to buy a book, and it was this book. And he was like, "This book is amazing. I've read it multiple times. It's definitely not a waste of time," and like all of this. And they kept like discussing, and then at the end they left, ending up not buying the book. But I was like, this sounds interesting. I might like let me have a look. What's in there? And then I grabbed the book. There was a chair in the bookshop, so I just went there, sat there, and started reading. And the idea is that the author Anna is a psychiatrist, and she has patients coming to her every day, and she was telling stories of people who went through addictions, bad habits, whatever. And I know that you might have read something like Atomic Habits, like one of those common habits books, but this one is just like looking at the whole idea from another perspective, which was like really interesting. And every time I tell someone about the story of the book, they just end up like wanting to buy the book and wanting to go through the whole idea. So I started reading like the story after another, and it was already like the time to go back to my train, and I didn't want to leave the book behind. So I went and I bought the book, and I just like went to the train and continued reading there. So what's the story? What is the story of the book? Maybe more lighting is better. Yeah, like that. So the story is that the author talks about the addiction, and we all know. No, we don't all know. Like some of us know that like usually there is like the cycle of a habit. Maybe it's something I can show of habit, and usually it's like the 3 steps. Like you go with the there is the where is it? It's called a cue sometimes. It's called okay. So you have the trigger, the thing that triggers you to go and do the habit, which causes you to like there's like some signal somewhere, and then the routine, the action, and then the reward. If I want to show, okay, I don't know how to show you. Like maybe I don't need to show you. You can imagine with me, but it's like yeah, it's like the signal that causes you to do the action, which by itself the action gives you a reward, and then just because you have the reward, you will want it more, but also like it will take you to like receive those signals even more in your life, and you want to do this routine again to have more reward, and so on. It just continues like this. The idea in this book is very interesting, and I would like really to show you a drawing. And maybe like this drawing is just, so it starts from like, things get interesting starting from chapter 3, which is called the pleasure-pain balance. And the author talks about how things work in our brain, like with neuroscience and all of this, but she also talks about a scale like this one. And you see here there is like pleasure on one side and there is pain on the other side. And the idea is that the author wants to share with us is that usually when we press on the pleasure by doing actions that is getting us to have a pleasure, our brain will always try to have this scale in our brain balanced. So whenever you try to push on the pleasure side in this scale, our brain will, in the next page, release some bad guys over here. I don't know what those are. They are like some chemicals that will cause your brain to feel some pain, so it can balance out this thing, this scale. And our brain always wants this scale to be balanced. So the more you push on pleasure by eating chocolate, by doing any bad habit over time, your brain will try to counter that with an action. So it's like Newton's law. For every action, there is a reaction. And the reaction is those bad guys that your brain will start releasing, so it can balance out this scale. Idea is clear. But there is one more thing. The more you try to push on this side over time, the harder for you to be able to get that pleasure again. Meaning that if you eat 100 grams of chocolate today, for example, next time when you eat 100 grams of chocolate, it will be harder for you to move this scale, because you started to up the game already by eating the 100 grams of chocolate. So now you need to eat 150 grams for you to start feeling the pleasure, which will make you eat the 150 grams, which means more pain to be pushed on from your brain side to balance it out. And this is the idea that the book mostly talks about, and it talks about how crazy our life is when we push the pleasure too much. And we are doing this all the time, all of us. Our life is just like going crazy right now with the pleasures, like with the social media, with the food that is like full of salt, full of spices, full of everything. We just want more pleasure and more pleasure and more pleasure. And like the life is just getting us into this habit of like having more pleasure. We want more pleasure, like just like push it more, push it more, push it more, which causes us to get our brains to first not feel pleasure as easy as it should be, because like the more you have with the pleasures, then the harder it is for you to feel the pleasure next time, but also for your brain to feel sad or depressed or whatever, because like your brain will try to balance out this scale. So there is a quote. I don't know what I'm reading, but like I know what I'm reading, but like I don't know what I highlighted here. But let me read it to you, because I have marked it in green. With repeated exposure to the same or similar pleasure stimulus, the initial deviation to the side of pleasure gets weaker and shorter, and the after response to the side of pain gets stronger and longer. Wow, this is crazy. And it's really like started to make me think of every single thing that is causing me to have dopamine during my day, honestly. Basically, yeah, we will just end up with this photo over here with those bad guys are like, there are tons of them, and then like our pleasure thing is not going to help us anymore, because like the scale is already messed up, you know, like it's already biased toward one side. It's very hard for those things, for chocolate to move things again. And you know, like, I mean, it's also like interesting in here you see like the rewards and dopamine releases, and you see here like how some people who are addicted to some drugs, like for example, you look at the chocolate, it says 66%. What else here? I'm not able to do from this side. It says 600, nicotine 150, cocaine is 225%. So it's trying to kind of compare how the reward is relatively higher from one to one thing to another. And you see here like some amphetamine, I don't know what is that, but it looks like a drug, and that's like 1,000%. Like you can think about like something that is like more than the chocolate by by 200%. Like this is crazy. And moving on with the book, I just want to share with you some more stuff. What can I share with you? Yeah, it says here, those with depression and anxiety and chronic pain start with a balance tipped to the side of pain, which may explain why people with psychiatric disorders are more vulnerable to addiction. So it is also possible, from what I understood here, that like the balance of our brain do not have to be always equal. So sometimes for some people it's already kind of like tip toward one side, and that's what causes like some specific pains. And when it talks about the solutions, now let's talk about the solutions, or maybe this is it. I think like 12 minutes is already like too much for session, so let's end it here, and we can talk about the solutions that the book shares. But I just wanted to share with you this for now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode. And yeah, like, subscribe, and I'm becoming now a very famous guy, whatever. See you guys. Ciao.